Hey everybody, Dr. Pingle here with a quick lesson on Learning OSM. So Learning OSM is one of your requirements for Notebook 4. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we can get started with that. So this is all about OpenStreetMap, so you should definitely go to openstreetmap.org. But to get started with this particular notebook page, you're going to want to look at learnosm.org. When you go to Learn OSM, there's a beginner's guide right here. And this is what I want you to kind of work through. So there are a couple pieces here, mostly the introduction, openstreetmap.org, and ID editor. And this is going to teach you how to get started. So you can click on the introduction and kind of work your way through this material and read it. Most of actually editing starts here in openstreetmap.org. So it'll kind of teach you how to move around, how to turn on and off layers, how to create an OpenStreetMap account, and so on. What I wanted to do here was talk a little bit about the ID editor. So this is a browser-based editor that you can use to make your first contributions. It's pretty easy to use, so let's get right to it. So I've already got an OpenStreetMap login, so I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And we're going to pick the area around DeKalb to make our first edits. So we'll zoom in here at the university. It's good to start doing your edits where you're the most familiar. So what you're getting here is a rendering of the OSM data, but we're going to add some vector data of our own. As we mentioned in the lecture, you can turn on map data, and this will take just a little bit of time to load. It's going to go and fetch all of these different pieces from the database, and you can see them tile in. You don't need to turn this on. In fact, it's better if you don't have this turned on when you do your edits, but it does sort of give you a quick overview in terms of what's going on. So we'll turn that back off again. One of the areas, a lot of campus is pretty well mapped. One of the things that we're missing is a lot of building entryways. So if you're familiar with a lot of those, you can definitely contribute. We'll turn the map data back on here for just a second. Entryways into buildings are going to be marked by these nodes that come in, and if you click on one of the nodes, there we got the building outline for the Home Student Center. We'll see if we can get one of these nodes. This is going to be marked, so this one's marked as entrance, yes. But you can see that a lot of buildings don't have any entrances marked. So Neptune North doesn't have any at the moment, and so on. So one of the things that you can do to contribute is to look for things like that can be added. We've got a disconnected sidewalk right here. And as you kind of poke around with the database, you'll start to get a sense of what's there and what's missing. I would stay away from bus stops for now until you get a little bit of expertise. Those are kind of a little bit tricky, so we'll leave those for another time. But for your introduction, adding sidewalks, adding crosswalks, and adding entrances to buildings are pretty safe bets. So we're going to turn the map data back off again, and we are going to, we're going to add edit and edit with ID. And this is going to start an edit session. By default, you're going to get some Bing imagery that comes up underneath. If you wanted to change that, you can click on this and you can get a number of different renderings that you can use to help yourself edit. We'll just leave this set to Bing aerial imagery for now. Okay, so we want to try to look around and think of some things that we can contribute. We can contribute points, lines, and areas. So an easy one to do is sidewalks. Not a lot of the sidewalks have been added. So we can go to line, and we want to extend off of this node, and I'm going to start just moving this forward. Now you want to try to have as few nodes as you can get away with. So I don't want to click and add nodes all the way through here. I just want to add these pieces sort of where the junction points are. So maybe I would add one here, I would add one here, and maybe I would add one here. And it looks like it keeps going, but you can stop anytime you want. So I'm going to hit escape, and it's going to move those changes in. Now what we want to do is we want to tag those. So OSM wants to know here on the left, what was that? Obviously it was a line, but this is a path feature, and this is a sidewalk. So we're going to tag it that way. we can look through here and see if there's anything else, but all of these are sort of optional. If you happen to know more things about whether bicycles are allowed or motor vehicles or horses or something, you can add that detail. But to get started, you definitely don't need to do that. So we're going to scroll down, and I'm going to hold down working with OSM is a lot easier if you've got a mouse. You can do it without it, but it's definitely harder. So I'm holding down the center wheel mouse, or the center wheel button on the mouse to move things around and pan. Okay, so I've got this change, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it. And we're going to keep this digitized from aerial photo. I had put that in earlier, so we'll hit save. And it's going to upload that and render that to OSM. So basically that's it. You're going to kind of move through this process. You usually want to kind of get in this pattern of making some edits, saving those and pushing them back up to the server, making a few more edits, and then uploading them to the server again. We'll do one more here. We might just click on this piece here and click on this node. We might want to mark that node, for instance, as an entryway. So we can type that in, and we can mark it as an entrance or exit. Perfect, and we'll save that, and it'll upload. So you can see that the icon for that has changed. We've got this little symbol that has changed as we've edited around. And so there's a couple of different things. Try to stick to things that are pretty clear for now. We don't want to get too fancy with that. We'll get a little bit better with it as we go. But if you start with sidewalks, entrances, that'll probably be a pretty good start. Okay, thanks very much for listening.